AITA for flushing Animal Crossing down the toilet. I live with my girlfriend. I own a Switch, but don't play it much. I was, however, excited for the new Animal Crossing game, so I bought it at release and still have yet to play it. My girlfriend asked if she can play it, since I'm busy with work for the foreseeable future, and I didn't see a problem with it. So she's clocked about 150 hours into this game so far despite only being out for a few weeks. She's neglected my home and no longer cooks. All she does from wake to sleep is play on her phone or play Animal Crossing. We had a good dynamic until this started. We'd each cook meals for each other and us together. We'd both do the chores, etc. I think it was fairly split 50/50. But now I'm doing 100% of these things and it's draining when I have work to do too. I told her I didn't want her to play my Switch anymore because of these reasons, and she said okay but didn't change. I reminded her a few more times of what we talked about and still no change. So I flushed the game cart down the toilet. This has raised all types of hell. It's my Switch, my game, my home. I can do whatever I want with my property, but I want to know if I'm the asshole for this. I don't know how this game saves data, whether it's saved to the cartridge or to the Switch, but she's been telling me her 150 plus HR town is gone now, and I don't quite know if that's the case. If it makes any difference, she has no income, so she can't buy another copy of the game. I'll buy a new copy when I'm ready to play it myself. AITA. She's not your child and she would have gotten over the game eventually. Maybe you should have tried to talk to her instead. If my so did this, I would be furious. Esh. First of all, I agree you definitely had the right to get rid of it, but that doesn't mean it was the right move. She is tough for neglecting her responsibilities, but you are also tough for how you handled it. You took one of the more extreme possible actions and just flushed it down. You could have just taken the cartridge, I think that's what it's called, from her. More so I feel a better way to handle this would have been to have a discussion about why you have a problem with her playing it so much, and informing her that you would be taking it if her actions did not change. So instead of sitting down and having a mature conversation you decided it would be easier to flush a game down the toilet? Please don't ever have children if you're going to handle problems by flushing them away. AITA. It's an extremely crazy time and your GF was probably enjoying it and using it as a way to escape the craziness. You wanna use the fact that you're working, so it's your house, your rules, your everything, but that's not what a relationship is. Do you want a girlfriend or a maid? Because you obviously can't see the difference in the two. Just because you work doesn't mean 100% of the chores and responsibilities are on her. It should be as close to 50/50 as possible, with the percentages going up and down depending on what's going on in your lives. Yes, she can pull more, but you're not completely free of not doing anything for your house, as you like to make that clear. Esh. She should been more responsive when you asked her to stop playing as much, but flushing it down the toilet is so childish. You should both been able to talk through this. There could be something going on with her. If she feels so addicted to the game, you should have talked about it, and you act very possessive, and I get you're not married, but still saying stuff like my house isn't a great sign for me, and sick, the game data should be stored on the Switch, so I don't think her data will be gone. A bit petty but NTA. You two had an fair agreement beforehand doing a 50/50 split in housework. You have to work, whereas she's not, so she should have actually been taking on more of this housework. You then saw problems with the situation, tried to resolve it civilly first, and when that didn't work you got rid of the problem. Fair enough. NTA, but you guys have some serious issues to talk about. It sounds like she has some real addiction problems with this game. Maybe the wiser move would have been to lock it up somewhere and talk about the chores/job issue rather than just throwing it out. But on the other hand, you're not her parent. AITA. You sound controlling and like you're lording ownership of your possessions over her. Playing video games all day while sheltering in place is a pretty reasonable way to stave off irritability and boredom. Neglecting your partner completely isn't great, but it sounds like you could have found a better way to ask her to spend time with you/do her share of the chores. Op comes off like tar the way he talks about their home being his. She's tough for not doing anything but playing a video game when he's working. I'm getting paid but not working. Alternatively, my wife is working harder than ever. I recognize that and have made sure to hit some of the household chores that she would normally do to take the pressure off. It's just what you do when you have a life together, and I know she appreciates that. AITA, possibly yesh. Sorry, but 150 hours for a game that came out 40 days ago adds up to a cumulative 3 hours 45 meters a day, which isn't really that much given you're in quarantine. I've been working from home, cooking and cleaning, and still have managed to rack up like 110 hours. Do you think she might be struggling with anything? A lot of people have experienced declining mental health during the lockdown. Animal Crossing has been a really good way for me to cope with this generally shitty situation. I know it's just a game, but you end up putting some real love and care into the game, and flushing away 150 hours of work is a shitty thing to do regardless. NTA. It's your game, you can do whatever you want with it. There is a lot of double standards on Reddit. I have seen stories like this so many times from the wife's or GF's perspective, and every comment says the guy was the issue for ignoring the chores. Someone even suggests in here that she might be depressed for playing the game, yet any other guy who plays video games is just being lazy and should grow up. Esh. AITA. First, you act like you own your GF. Since she doesn't have an income, she is supposed to do all these homemaker activities. It's not that your expectations are unreasonable, it's the tone in which you say it. It's my Switch, my game, my home. I can do whatever I want with my property, which seems to include your GF. Second, do you know the kind of havoc Animal Crossing can cause in the sewer system? Just hope they can't trace this to your home. NTA. We are ignoring the fact she has zero self-control. He disposed of the problem. She don't even know how the console saves games. She contributes zero to the house Op owns and does everything there because she can't be bothered to stop playing a stupid game. I love playing video games, but my chores come first. I got laid off a few months ago and I picked up doing all the housework and cooking while my wife works. If she's not gonna contribute, then I wouldn't let her stay over a stupid game. If it was some health condition causing it, that's different, but a stupid freaking game. Esh. Lack of maturity on both sides. There were better ways to handle it. Flushing something you knew would upset her sounds like something a shitty parent would do. Before bragging about it on Facebook, I had to teach her a lesson. My house, my rules. And good luck with all of the weeds growing down there now. AITA. My mill chewed me out for not crying about my Sil's latest miscarriage. My mother-in-law, Mill, chewed me out on the phone for not being more sympathetic towards my sister-in-law, Sil, after she experienced her 6th miscarriage. We have expressed condolences after each and every miscarriage, but apparently, I didn't sound sorry enough this time around. I reminded Mill that my Sil has a beautiful daughter and said to Mill, not my Sil, something along the lines of perhaps she should spend more time with what she already has instead of spending so much time grieving for what might have been. Needless to say, it didn't go over well. They are both aware that we, my husband and I, ourselves have fertility issues. I'm flat out infertile, and they have often pestered us about it, often asking when are you going to adopt, or why haven't you tried IVF yet. My husband wants me to call my Sil again, which I'm okay with, and to call back and apologize to my Mill that I'm not so cool about. AITA for balking about apologizing to my Mill. Edit. Yes, I understand the quote was rude, but it was said to the Mill, not the Sil. Furthermore, Mill has in the past made Sil's miscarriages all about her. She is determined to get as many grandbabies as possible out of all of her kids, 2 sons and a daughter. She is so determined that once she found out I was infertile, she demanded we take 2 sets of family photos at every family get together because she is determined her son will divorce me for a woman that can give her more grandbabies, and she does not want my image to tarnish the family photos after this fantasy divorce occurs. She has chased off several of my Bill's girlfriends in the past because they weren't interested in have more than 1, if any, babies. Mill essentially threw the tantrum because I didn't include her in my condolences. The quote was my roundabout way of telling Mill maybe you should pay more attention to the grandbaby you have, rather than digging for more grandkids, and cheapening Sill's loss by making it all about you. NTA. You're not obligated to feel a specific way about anything, or to show it in some pre-approved way. They are being really callous about your feelings on this subject, given your own struggles with fertility. Mill for grading your amount of sorry and you for discounting your Sill's struggles by saying she should just be grateful to have one kid. Your struggles with fertility don't give you the right to be callous, nor should your in-laws pester you about your own fertility. Yikes. Tough one, but AITA. However, not for not being sorry enough. That last comment about spending more time being thankful and less grieving was very tone deaf. I don't blame you at all for being frustrated, and you can't just be more sorry, but it came out in what could be a very hurtful way. NTA. Your husband needs to grow a shiny spine and stand up for you to his mother and sister. This would be unacceptable behavior, even if you didn't have fertility issues yourself. As it is, it's entirely dreadful. Talk to your husband and explain. I was inclined to say everyone sucks, except for your poor Sill, but what you said to your Mill was absolutely abhorrent. Yes, your sister-in-law may already have a beautiful child, but that doesn't erase the love she had for her unborn children. Each loss is bound to be emotionally gutting and horrific to deal with. Your own struggles with fertility shouldn't invalidate what your Sill and family are going through. Edit. I'm changing my judgment to a softish, based on the post edit. Your mother-in-law is clearly awful, and I can totally understand you reaching the end of your tether with her, but what you said is still callous and unkind. You may have been directing it at your Mill, not your Sill, but you still said something cruel in a way that focused on your Sill. You talked about your Sill's grief and your Sill's child. In the future, if you have an issue with your Mill, address it to her directly. I know you were trying to be subtle or whatnot, but it's still really disrespectful to your Sill, who is truly the innocent party in all of this and doesn't need to be used as a pawn in your own relationship dispute. Also, miscarriages are hard to deal with, especially when you repeatedly go through them. Sometimes, as an outsider, you can start to grow thickened skin and the loss unintentionally becomes smaller in your eyes. But your Sill, they are equally as heartbreaking. You don't have to send gift cards or flowers or whatnot every time, and you certainly don't have to go through your Mill, but just reaching out to her directly and letting her know you care about her is a heartfelt gesture that will go a long way. AITA. Let me be clear here, your Mill is an asshole for demanding that you be more sympathetic. But in the grand scheme of assholes, she's a very minor asshole. You, on the other hand, are a raging asshole for suggesting that your Sill get over her 6th miscarriage because she already has a kid. I've had fertility issues myself, and it's no picnic, but mother of God, how clueless are you? That's such a cruel thing to say. Regardless of how many children a woman has, it's still traumatic to experience a miscarriage. What in holy hell is the matter with you? AITA. Gently. Seems to me like you said something you regret, thankfully not directly to Sill, and now you're looking for any excuse for it to be Mill's fault because you feel bad. I'm not saying you are a bad person, and maybe Mill had made things especially difficult for you in the past, but I think you're more mad at yourself than at her. Maybe you're a little jealous that your Sill even got one healthy baby when you couldn't have one. I'm so sorry for that, but you said something you shouldn't have. Is it possible your apology was really less than sincere? NTA. Your husband needs to grow a shiny spine and stand up for you to his mother and sister. This would be unacceptable behavior, even if you didn't have fertility issues yourself. As it is, it's entirely dreadful. Talk to your husband and explain, calmly, that you are not going to be policed like this, especially by people who do not show to you the same respect they demand. Good luck. NTA. Only because of your own fertility issues. Completely understand why you blew up, but that does not make it okay in the future. If your husband is so worried about mending fences, he can talk to his mother about letting this go this time and being a little more sensitive to you in the future. Accept your Sill. Mill needs to chill on the wants as many grandchildren as possible bit, and you need to open your sense of empathy more. Yeah, she has a daughter, but she wanted that pregnancy to be success too, as well as the others she's lost. She's in an extremely tragic cycle of repeated miscarriages that is hard on people who experience it. You don't have to throw yourself on the floor and bawl your eyes out for her loss, but it really shows a lack of empathy when you say shit like she needs to spend more time being thankful for what she has. No, she doesn't. She's been going through hell with these miscarriages, and the least she deserves is some time to grieve. AITA, it doesn't matter if you said it to Mill and not Sil. NTA. Sorry, that's also not a rude comment. That's just being realistic. It's not like the Sil is childless. She has a kid. Sometimes nature is telling you something. After 6 miscarriages you might want to take a hint. Yikes. Tough one, but AITA. However, not for not being sorry enough. That last comment about spending more time being thankful and less grieving was very tone deaf. I don't blame you at all for being frustrated, and you can't just be more sorry, but it came out in what could be a very hurtful way. Your Mill takes a set of family photos without you for your impending future divorce and your husband allows this? Seriously, I'd be so beyond pissed at my husband for not sticking up for me with his mother and degrading you and making you out to be a baby making machine and assuming your husband will divorce you because you don't pump out babies for him. It started when we were dating, at which time I was more accepting about it, and is probably why my husband probably doesn't see it as being a big deal and worth a fight. Her photo habit tapered off leading up to the wedding, and it stopped for a little while after the vows. But then she found out I couldn't give her grandbabies myself, and that if we did adopt, we'd opt for an older child rather than a newborn. Well, she became a bit of a fanatic. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos. And make sure not to flush Animal Crossing down the toilet.